Hey there, everybody. I'm looking at the wrong spot. Should be looking here. Hey there, everybody. We are doing some other work. Ethan and his crew are actually doing, I think, the last of the loads now. I think he just dropped the second to last load. Got some punk rock in the ears. I like gardening. I like gardening with food plants. It feels, maybe my younger self would have, kicked me in a mosh pit for my older self. But this whole circular, community-based economy, food growing, food sharing, kind of thing really feels extra punk rock, to me at least. Maybe your persuasions are different. Maybe you're a little bit more country. Maybe you're a little bit more rock and roll. But whatever your motivations are, it's wonderful that you're gardening too. And we were fortunate to have a neighbor, one of our favorites, hi Susan, over a few days ago, and she was taking a little walk in the woods with us, which is what we're gonna do in another upcoming video. But one of her comments was that she wished her woods looked like ours, and that's a really edifying kind of statement. It just feels amazing. Made me feel good for the rest of the day. That and getting to hold a wild bird in my hands. But so, that's our project, and that's what we're doing. But sometimes, when I'm perusing message boards, I see this sentiment that if you're growing flowers in a suburban lot, then you're not doing it right, and you're not doing enough, and you should be growing food, and you should be growing all of these things, and maybe that's not what your passion is. Maybe you just want to grow pretty flowers, and I totally support that. There's this concept of the rural urban fingers layout in some of the older permaculture texts, and even some of the newer permaculture texts. Peter Bain talks about it in the Permaculture Handbook. It's in a pattern language. It's in Permaculture 1 and 2 and the Designer's Manual. It's been talked about a lot, where you need to have these redundancies and specialities to fully support the system. And I think that if you're pushing too hard to support too many endeavors and projects on your parcel, on the property that you steward, you're going to have periods of burnout. And if you're feeling pressured to grow things that aren't interesting or compelling to you, then you're going to suffer more severe burnout. And I don't want that. I want you to keep gardening. If you want to add some more things or cultivate in additional ways that support your local pollinators, I think that's great. Maybe we'll have some tips for you as the season progresses and as we are buttoning up some of our gardens. But I just really wanted to take a minute and say, if you're in a suburban area and most of your neighbors have lawn and you're wondering what you should do, but berry plants and brambles and trees are not part of your wheelhouse or your desires, grow your flower garden, grow some herbs, grow something nice that you like, and just do your best to support the other characters that come visit your gardens. Do that, and you're doing all right by me. So yeah, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about this plant. This is one of those shadblow service berries we picked up earlier this year. I've done a little bit of excavating and dunking in a bucket that is behind me to kind of excavate some of the soil away and expose some of these roots, which, if I rotate this for you, you can see these guys come in from the bottom hitting a spot and traveling all the way over to here where they met up with these guys who have literally traveled almost the entire way around the pot. And so one of the things that I do when I am at a garden center and kind of intrigued by a plant that they might have available in their area or at their nursery, particularly if it's a suckering shrub, I look at the bottom of the pot and I look for the growth tips coming out the bottom, and that's a sign to me that I'm going to have a lot of cuttable, excisable material to harvest from the outer rings, which also gives me the main portion of this guy, who will now do better when I plant it because it's not being strangled by all of these other roots that won't, by force of habit, go further out into the soil unless directed that way. And so we have our little shady area where our plan is to slowly phase out the forsythia because I'd prefer to replace it with a native perennial. And the shade-loving, dappled shade, sometimes sun that comes through these peaks in the canopy here, I think will be really nice for them. We have some lindera and some haskap that have done well in this space in addition to the forsythia, and I think the forsythia will make a nice chop and drop material with the green shoots in the spring to feed to these erstwhile bushes. And so what we're doing is just very, very gently unencircling all of these roots, and what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll find the ones that have the little feeder roots coming off. I hope you guys can see that all right. And so I'll look for these little bits here, and what we'll do is bury them in here, something nice, and then we have some of the duck bedding, and I may bring over some of the leaf mulch from the access paths that I've been mulching up and collecting. So yeah, that's our project for today, and I will kick over to show it when I am done planting. And so before I kick over, just check for these kinds of things. This little sprout right here, this guy, was poking out of one of the bottom drainage holes. Likewise, another piece over here, and I've already buried in one cutting over here. And so we're going to come along this line, and I may push back in here. That might require some trimming of this birch, but I kind of like it. So maybe we'll tuck them in gently if I have some more cuttings, and rather the main central portion of this guy will be buried out on the edge of the lawn to catch a little bit more sun. And yeah, we'll see how this does. There are accounts of it not splitting by root fragments well, but I think that there's a potential for rooted cuttings to succeed. I have another one, and so we can plant this one as an experiment and plant the other one a little further that way, maybe, as the control, and see how that one does, and compare and contrast as the seasons go on. But yeah, gonna finish burying this up. I'll show you guys what it looks like when I'm done, and encourage you to go find plants that look like they're gonna be trouble, because all that energy can go towards expanding your systems. So yeah, back in a second. So we are back. If you look in here, this bit down here got wet when I was watering them in, and you can see that, but up to here is where they were buried up to in the mulch in the pot. And we've talked before on this channel about the endemic problem of too deeply potting. So consider this just a kind of callback. Everyone appreciates a good callback. So always excavate your pots when they come from a nursery, if they're not bare root. Bare root has its own shortcomings and challenges as far as shipping and propagating and consumer facing goes, but the pot grown stuff, it gets too deep, and the habit is to add stuff on top as the potting mix subsumes, kind of breaks down, gets absorbed and turned into plant material. And so we have a little guy poking up over here. It might be a little difficult to see, but that's it right there. There's another little sprout just tucked below in here. And then over here on the other side, I decided not to fight with the branching, and I did pull up a little bit of mulch over here, and the surface feeder roots were a little hairy for me to want to dig up, because I'm contending with the roots from the birch and these forsythia and this pine, and likely this guy too, and those guys, and these guys. So it was a little bit easier to come down in front just at about the drip edge of this birch, which during the growing season should help these guys out a little bit. And you can see some of these little growth tips that were going white, trying to plow their way through the soil in the pot, ones that have made their escape through the points in the pot, and a few others that are mixed in with this mulch. You may be able to suss out one right in here. Nope, I zoomed bad. It's like right in here. There you go. So, when I pulled this mulch back, you may notice the mycelial mat that's in the wood chips. We pulled all of this back, roughed up the surface of the soil right in there, through some of the collected rabbit manure, biochar, and shave in there in the bottom. And as we were burying them, we had some pots that were not successful over the growing season or died back in the case of some of the annuals that didn't sell. And so in an effort to use that soil well, we know that it's been watered and soaked in, and it was capable of supporting roots. And so that extra material was all just turned out and piled and gently shaped around these, and everything was watered in. So we're going to go ahead and go plant the other guy and start doing some cuttings and things of some of the elders that we picked up. But yeah, we'll have some more updates coming soon, and I'll be looking forward to our little walkthrough with our friend Tony, and I hope you guys are looking forward to that too. But the rain's picking up. We're going to go settle up with the crew that moved the wood chips for us and keep working the system. So, till next time, everybody. Hope you're well. Thanks for watching. Happy planting.